Hello folks, I hope you're all keeping well today. This is going to be a boring talking video, but it's one that's somewhat important. It's important to me. I think it will also be important to you guys as well once I figure out how to say what it is that I want to say here. As some of you may know, for the past 7-8 months I have been working with Tesla components, primarily the drive units and the Gen 2, and most recently there I have on the bench a Gen 3 charger. And unlike other approaches that are already available that basically use the existing Tesla control systems, I have gone ahead and designed, logic boards such as this one here for the Tesla large drive unit, that basically are hardware fixes. So this board here replaces the Tesla board and basically lets you control the Tesla drive unit. And there's advantages and disadvantages to all those approaches, and I have covered that in previous videos. This is not going to be a technical presentation. Also, and I might be wrong about this, but I don't think I am, that I'm the only person that has open sourced the hardware for all of these logic boards. Now, the design of the motor control logic boards is based around the work of Johannes Hubner's open source inverter system for AC induction motors. And I've published, everything. I've published the designs of these boards, all of the source material, all of the revisions, all of the log files, all of the mistakes. Every time I've made a mistake, I've jumped on here and I've said, oh, I screwed up something on this board, I'm redesigning it, I put the design files back there, and all that. So all of the work that I've done on the drive units and to date on the Gen 2 charger, we've a logic board for that as well, has been, how should I say it? It's been public domain. So I have, published everything. I've published, as I say, all the designs. And Johannes has worked on customizing the software to work with these designs for me, particularly around reading the temperature sensors and stuff like that. And, he's made that source code available as well as the bin and the hex files and all that stuff. So what that basically means for me is that I wanted to run a Tesla large drive unit. That was the whole start of this thing for me. I had a large drive unit. I needed a way to run that. I didn't have the financial resource to purchase one of the systems like from EVTV or Michael Elias, Jason Hughes and others that have that, that have cracked the CAN messaging system and all that for controlling the Tesla drive units. But I wanted to run it, and rather than kind of sitting there saying, oh, woe is me, I don't have whatever it was, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 euros, you know, I decided to get off my backside and, you know, try a different approach, and that is designing the logic boards. And in doing so, I decided to make those designs open source and available to you, the community, in the hopes, number one, that it would enable more people to use Tesla components, and number two, rather greedily again, that I would, you know, get people to collaborate on the designs and, you know, testing and all that sort of thing. So that's just a quick recap. There's been videos after videos of me doing things like even today I was working on the, as I call it, the Panzer, the BMW E31.8 series that I've installed a large drive unit into. So far, testing on that has been progressing very well. Now, since launching the, you know, the whole project and publicizing it and, you know, putting all the design files on GitHub and subsequently having design boards for the front and the small rear drive units and the chargers and all that stuff, people have approached me, you know, saying to me, you know, some variant of, you know, can you supply me a board, or can you supply me multiple boards and stuff like that. And I have supplied quite a few. At this point, I've probably supplied somewhere around 8 to 10 boards, you know, variations of the tree, basically. And I have priced the drive unit boards at €1,500 and the charger control boards at €750. Now, the thing I would ask people to keep in mind is that those prices are not just a version of, you know, there's a board, bye now, bye bye, see ya, best of luck. You get a board, you get a Wi-Fi adapter, and you get active support from me to make sure that you get up and running. The board that I will supply to you is a tested board. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we have a test jig that plugs into this card and tests everything. This is you know, it's not a hugely complicated board, but there's a lot of fine pitch soldering going on here, and you know, it's very easy to get dry joints, insufficiencies, incorrect components placed, so you could get problems that way. Now, that's fine in on of itself for people that have that resource and need to get up and running in their particular project. But the reason that I made the source files available is for the people that don't have that resource, that financial resource available to them. When I started off in electric vehicles nearly 9 years ago now, it was thanks to the work of Paul Holmes in designing an open source DC motor controller that let me get into the hobby at all, because there was this price barrier that if you didn't have the money to buy, you know, the motor and the controller and all the other bits, there was just no point, right? You know, there was controllers, you know, the famous Curtis, I forget the number on it, but it was the 144 volt 500 amp controller was, you know, $3,000 or something like that. And if you didn't have that, well, what were you going to do? And thanks to Paul's work, and the support of the community, I was able to, you know, to avoid the price barrier. And that's what I want for people with the Tesla drive units. And I made those files available so that, you know, you could basically come along, you could buy some of the bare PCBs. Hell, I'll even sell you the bare PCBs. And you can go along and maybe get a friend that's good with a soldering iron or something and solder them up and jump on the forum and, you know, get assistance that way, and email me and maybe I can do something along the way. Because I mean, I'm not going to get rich selling these boards for 1,500 euros. I mean, I wouldn't be. I'd be surprised if I sold another 10 this year. You know, so that's not going to. You know, send me to the moon. And that's fine. Okay, because yes, I want to make a profit. I have to make a profit to invest that back into what I'm trying to do. But the point is not to gouge people, for want of a better word. Now, some people have a problem with that pricing point, and that's also fine, guys, right? Because, yeah, I mean, on the surface of it is, oh, you know, there's only so many components on that board and I can get a bare board for this, I can put it together. Exactly. That's the point. You can do it, right? I can't, because I'm selling a completed product, okay? But an individual who was handy soldering could probably make, let's say, you know, the large drive unit logic board, by the way, and I'm going to be completely transparent, as I have been here. The BOM cost on these is, excluding the PCB, is 78 euros. Right? That is the cost of the components, bought in, you know, no big volumes, maybe, you know, maybe 10s, 20s, so, you know, there's no real volume discount there. The PCBs, they are a 4-layer board, 1 ounce copper. They're a little bit on the pricey side. I think the PCBs work out at something either 23 or 26 euros each. So there's about 100 euros, let's say, safely. Let's say 110 euros in raw materials here. So most people that are going to have a Tesla drive unit can go and download the bill of materials for this and go make it, right? You know, I can sit here to solder up one of these boards. I would typically take 2.5 days, because I wouldn't be able to just stick at it the whole day. I'd be soldering all over the place. It'd be a nightmare. So yeah, 2.5 days of somebody's time that's good with soldering. So let's say 2 days for someone that's, you know, maybe not up to, you know, my kind of professional level. And that's 2 days of your time, and then you're going to have to work out all the software and the parameters and get the Wi-Fi hooked up and all that. But that's all fun, right? That's all part of the fun. It's all part of the process. So those are the 2 ways that you can get into one of these boards. You can either buy one from me, or you can make it yourself. Now, recently, and this is the point of the video, and I know that I'm kind of 15 minutes in here already before I get to the point, but recently it's became apparent to me that at least one individual, possibly 2, are making the cards and actually selling them. And you know what? That's fine, right? I have no problem with that. Most likely selling them for much less than what I sell them for. And again, that's no problem, right? Because as I say, there's 100 and let's even be completely, you know, completely fair here and say at most 150 euros worth of components on one of those cards. And I mean, yeah, maybe someone's time, you know, they can do better than me, and if that's the case, great, right? You know, so if you come across somebody that says, you know, oh, I can supply you one of the Damien's open source logic boards for 800 euros or 600 euros, you know, great, right? That is not a problem, okay? In fact, it's kind of, there's a little bit of an ego trip for me there, thinking, well, you know, Jesus, wow, you know, someone thinks that's actually good enough to go make it themselves and sell it to people. You know, they must be crazy, but, you know, because it's my design, and as we know, my designs, they're not so good, but anyway. Alright, so that's cool, right? The thing I would caution people about is if you are buying from someone like that, just, you know, go in there with your eyes open. So make sure that the person can support you, make sure that they know what they're doing, because unlike the systems that use the Tesla hardware, you know, this will let you blow the inverter. You can blow the inverter, you can shear off shafts. There's no safety net with this stuff. So just keep that in mind, but other than that, no stress. Now, I'm finally getting to the real point now, 19 minutes into the video. So you're probably all tuned out by now, but hey. Alright, so recently I have discovered that at least one person has been doing something that I do not approve of, and that is the following. So any of these boards, I'll probably show you one of these ones so it'll be easier to see on the camera. I've got a little bit of text on them. So what it basically does is it says, an example on this one here, which is for the small drive units, excuse me, it says small DU logic board V2. It has my web address, www.evbmw.com. Copyright 2017, D. Maguire and J. Hubner. And those are just the names of me and Johannes, a copyright notice, and, you know, the name of the board and my website, just so, you know, people know where it actually came from. Now the problem is that at least one person has decided to delete all of that text from their board, and they are selling it to customers. Now that I have a difficulty with. Now it leads me then to think, well, if someone is going to do that, then what else are they going to do? Are they going to, for example, decide that certain components on the board maybe don't need to cost as much as they do? You know, maybe I could use a 16 volt capacitor instead of a 25 volt. Maybe I could use a 100 milliwatt resistor instead of a 200. Maybe I don't really need that 4-layer board. So from a technical perspective, it worries me that, you know, my design is going to be put out there, put into people's cars and sent down the road without any reference to who designed it, or that it's been built according to the way that it's been designed. Now, that's one aspect. The second aspect is, why not leave that text on there. I mean, it's no skin off the nose of the person making and selling the boards. I can think of a few reasons why they mightn't want that information on there, as I'm sure you guys can. But it has also then led me to re-evaluate what I do with future projects. Do I make those projects open source? Do I keep the source files to myself and just sell, you know, completed boards? Or what do I do here? I'm running an amazingly successful Patreon campaign based upon open sourcing Tesla mainly, but certainly you know other OEM systems like the BMW i3 system that I have here, and the Innova system that's on the bench here as well, and there's future work coming down the pipeline, there's future conversion projects, and it just makes me really sad that people would actually, and this is the crazy bit, I mean, how do you rip off open source? I mean, it's kind of an oxymoron. You can't do it. You know, it's, you know, how do you do that? How do you rip off something that's free? Well, nature has found a way. Yeah. So basically, guys, I just want to make people aware of the fact that this has been going on now over the past week or two. It greeted me as I got out of a 2-week hospital stint, so not too not too happy with that. I'm having a rethink on what I do regarding the BMW stuff. I'm still going to proceed with it. But as to general release of the design files, as of now I've decided to put a hold on that. As to whether that will be a temporary or a permanent hold is really going to depend upon how this whole thing plays out. In one sense, it's going to depend upon how the community respond to it. You know, to me, open source is the lifeblood of the electric vehicle conversion movement. It enables people, and that's what I want to do. I mean, I'm no saint. I've you know, in this whole 9 years, I've made plenty of mistakes. I've made friends, I've made enemies of friends, friends of enemies, but I've always tried to walk the centre line, and I've always tried to give back in more than I get, more than I have taken out. And I want to ensure that my work is, it sounds grandiose, but I want to make sure that my work helps people. Helps them to get their cars on the road, helps them to experience what it's like the first time that you know, select a gear or click a switch and press a throttle, and you hear and you feel the car move, but there's no engine noise. I'll never forget that feeling myself, the first time that happened for me. And I owe that feeling to open source electric vehicle hardware and software. So right, no one is probably watching by now because I've been ranting on here. So I guess it's a little bit of a warning for me as well. I really didn't think that something like this could happen. I knew it could happen, but I didn't think it would happen. So yeah, I better shut up now. So probably just gonna rant on for some more time. Alrighty guys, watch out for this stuff. If you do become aware of sources of these unattached boards, let's call them, please do contact me and let me know. It's just for my own info. And again, just to wrap up, the point is that you're not obliged to pay me a dime, okay, for any of these designs. I don't want anything. I don't want royalties. I don't believe in this whole intellectual property BS. I think that's one of the worst things that has ever been foisted upon the world. But you know, go out there and make the boards and get your motors running and get out on the highway and look for adventure and whatever comes your way. I mean, it's even this board here. This was made in China by one of my Patreon supporters that then sent it to me to program it and to fault find it. I mean, I have no problem doing that. I'm charging the guy, I think I'm charging the guy $100, right? So, yeah, that's cool too. You know, you don't have to buy boards from me. You don't owe me. The world does not owe me a living. The electric vehicle community does not owe Damien Maguire a living. But what it does owe me, I believe, are those little bits of text on the board, right? The same way that I owe Paul Holmes for that first move of a car, the same way that I owe Johannes Hubner for the first time that I turned a AC induction motor. Just, that's all. You can do what you like with them. You can make these in batches of 1,000 and sell them on flipping eBay. But leave the text on it, guys. Alright, that's enough ranting, and my cats want food now, so I gotta feed the cats. Go figure, they'd be well trained. Alright, we will see you guys most likely next week when we're back at the Panzer full time. The Panzer has been moving along now slowly, but we're going to pick up the pace with that. As I've said, my decision on what I do with future designs is still in the air. Alrighty, thanks for watching, thanks for suffering through this boring video. I hope I've made sense. Please do leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. Am I getting too upset about nothing? Should I have more righteous indignation, or should I just shut the hell up and get on with it? Do leave me a comment. Do check links in the description for my Patreon support page, and also GitHub, where you can download all the stuff and make your own boards, guys. Please do, and tell me about it. Let me know. Show me photographs. I need my ego stoked. Alright, see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and happy board building.